Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Gianna Caserta. I'm the weekend anchor for WPBF 25 News. Of course, today we are here to remember the victims and the survivors whose lives have been turned upside down because of an impaired driver. In 2020, there were over 2,000 arrests for impaired drivers. That's just here in Palm Beach County. December marks the 39th annual National Drunk and Drug Driving Prevention Awareness Month. And to begin this month, Palm Beach County Victim Services and Mothers Against Drunk Driving partnered together to host this inaugural DUI Victim Remembrance Memorial here in Palm Beach County. At any time during this evening, if you'd like to speak to a victim advocate, there are several here to provide support. Now, we also have the Boynton Beach Police Department therapy dog, Harley, here with us for emotional support and comfort. Now, as we begin this evening, I would like to introduce Nicole Bishop, Director of Palm Beach County Victim Services and Certified Rape Crisis Center, followed by Tracy Roloff, Regional Executive Director for Mothers Against Drunk Driving, to give the opening remarks.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here with us this evening in this beautiful venue. For many, the holiday season is a joyous and festive time when families gather to create new memories. For other families, the season is a reminder of an empty chair once occupied by a loved one. Traditions that once brought merriment now bring painful reminders of what is no longer. Each year, hundreds of families around Palm Beach County remember the empty chairs and the untimely loss or injury of a loved one during the holiday season. As we move through the holiday season, we begin Impaired Driving Prevention Awareness Month and remembering those empty chairs. For some, this is your first season without a loved one. For others, this is another year gone. For the law enforcement and the advocates that are here with us tonight, this is a reminder of the importance of the work that we do. We're here today to unite in a community solidarity and let you know that you are not alone. Thank you so much for joining us to light a candle for your loved one lost or injured due to the careless actions of an impaired driver. On behalf of Palm Beach County Victim Services, I would like to welcome you to our inaugural DUI Victim Remembrance Memorial. Thank you.
Hello and good evening. Yes, I'm Tracy Roloff, the Regional Executive Director with Mothers Against Drunk Driving here in South Florida. I do want to say a big thank you to everyone involved this evening that has made tonight possible. I want to say thank you to the City of Boynton Beach, the Boynton Beach Police Department, the Palm Beach County Victim Services, and the Boynton Beach High School Chorus. I want to thank everyone for coming together this evening as we remember and honor those that have been impacted, injured, or killed because of impaired driving. Matt has been advocating to end impaired driving for over 40 years, and we won't stop. We're dedicated to working together with the community to put an end to this 100% preventable crime of driving under the influence. Tonight's vigil is important because it's the love, the care, and support of others that can make all the difference in bringing about hope and change. Please know that it is our privilege to be here to walk with you on your path towards healing. Thank you.
And we'd like to say thank you to Nicole and Tracy for co-hosting this inaugural DUI Victim Remembrance Memorial. And next, I'd like to invite Rabbi Jessica Mates from Temple Beth El of Boca Raton to give the invocation.
Good evening. I'm honored and humbled to be in your presence. I'm holding in my hand something that may or may not be familiar. It's called a Kriya ribbon. And in the Jewish tradition, when someone loses a close relative, they actually wear the ribbon on the outside. But they do something before the ribbon is put on and the service starts. They tear the ribbon like that to show that their heart is broken. If you lose a parent, you wear it on the left side over your heart to show that you lost a parent. And if you lose a sibling or a child or a spouse, you wear it on the right side. It's comforting in a way because it externally lets the world know that you have pain inside. When you have a loss, as so many here tonight have had, you have that immediate time of grief, but your whole life, your heart is broken. And so what do you do when you take the career ribbon off? You don't know what someone has been through. When Stephanie Goldfuss asked me to speak tonight, she didn't know that in 2006, my sister-in-law lost her husband and daughter to a drunk driver 15 years ago. And when you lose someone in such a tragic way, it affects you every day. But for the immediate family around, it is days like these times, like the holidays, like Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah. It is Mother's Day and Father's Day and all these days that we were robbed of and all this time that was taken away from us. And so on this night, I offer you immense words of comfort. I wish that God grant you courage and strength to go forward. I ask that God grants you the ability to keep alive all the wonderful characteristics of those that you lost had and carry on the memories and the stories. And that we keep doing things like this, coming together in community and in comfort, because while we can no longer wear the career ribbon on the outside after a certain period of time, the heart is very much broken on the inside. And sometimes where we are broken, that is the place where we heal in the strongest way. I wish God's blessing on all of you. May God bless you and keep you. May God's light shine upon you and be gracious to you. And may all your paths be paths of peace. And let us all say, Amen. Thank you.
Impaired driving is not just a law enforcement issue, but it is a community issue. The death or serious bodily injury of a victim in an impaired driving crash is not just losing a mother, a father, a sister, a sibling, a child. It's losing a store owner, an employee, a student, a classmate, a person that was making a difference in their piece of the world. Now, to show his support to the cause, Palm Beach County Mayor Robert Weinroth proclaimed December as Impaired Driving Awareness Month here in Palm Beach County. And to share the proclamation this evening, I'd like to invite Mayor Weinroth to the stage.
Thank you very much. It's my honor to be here with you tonight, and hopefully we can work together so that other families don't have to have the same type of pain that you're feeling here tonight. It's my honor to be able to bring forward today a proclamation that was approved by the unanimous vote of the County Commission, and let me read it to you. Whereas Palm Beach County recognizes the importance of honoring those who have been killed or injured in drunk and drug driving crashes as a result of any alcohol or substance impaired driving consequences, as well as anyone who has been emotionally devastated by these violent crimes. And whereas in 2019, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration reported that every day, 28 people in the United States died in alcohol-impaired vehicle crashes. That's 1 every 52 minutes. While 800 people a day were injured due to alcohol and substance-impaired driving. And whereas in 2020, there were 2,300 Palm Beach County drivers arrested for driving under the influence of alcohol or narcotics. There were 950 total crashes, 88 serious injuries, and 28 fatalities, all caused by impaired drivers. Whereas November through December, which is National Impaired Driving Awareness Month, are the deadliest months of the year for drunk driving crashes. And whereas Mothers Against Drunk Driving and Palm Beach County Victim Services are working to create a future with no more victims and support victims and survivors at no charge. And whereas Mothers Against Drunk Driving and Palm Beach County Victim Services will host a candlelight vigil today to honor victims and survivors. And whereas all citizens are urged to join in local efforts to raise awareness and honor the lives of those killed or injured as a result of drunk driving, drug driving, or underage driving. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners of Palm Beach County that this month, December 2021, is hereby proclaimed Impaired Driving Awareness Month. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Weinroth. Now, as the City of Boynton Beach and the Boynton Beach Police Department have so graciously offered to host this memorial, I'd like to next invite both Mayor Stephen Grant from the City of Boynton Beach and Police Chief Michael Gregory with the Boynton Beach Police Department to share some inspirational words and thoughts with all of us.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here with my dog, Daphne, as well. We walked here from my office, and it's always scary when you're on the sidewalk because you have these cars going 40 miles per hour. And with my knowledge from the Transportation Planning Agency, that means there's about a 50% chance of survival if I get hit at 40 miles per hour. And that kind of goes to where we are today, is that how can we as government, as a society, prevent and be proactive that we don't have any of these other deaths? You know, we have examples from around the country and around the world that holding your phone is not something we should have in Florida. In addition, here in Boynton Beach, we had someone who was drunk driving going over 100 miles per hour on Boynton Beach Boulevard. I remember back in the day, cars used to be governed so that they couldn't do this. And it's something that we need to not just look at ourselves, we need to look at the government, the corporations, and the communities that have kept the status quo, that have allowed so many people to remain victims for us to experience these tragedies. As our MC mentioned, it's not just the loved ones that are affected, it is our society, it is our community. Because like a hurricane, it's from South Florida, it's not a question of if, the question is when. And so I'm sorry that everyone here holding a candle has lost a loved one, and my condolences goes out to you. And I would love to work with you to help your ideas to make sure that we are making the world a better place, starting here in Boynton Beach. So thank you again, and have a great night.
Good evening, everyone. Again, I'm Michael Gregory. I'm the police chief in Boynton Beach, and I sincerely appreciate the opportunity to just share a couple of thoughts with you this evening on this special occasion. We're honored to be hosting the inaugural candlelight vigil in honor of anyone whose life has been affected by an impaired driver. In Boynton, we've seen firsthand how impaired driving destroys lives. This past September, our investigators worked a crash involving a drunk driver that took the lives of a father and a daughter who were just stopped at a red light. We have a responsibility to our families, our friends, our neighbors, to drive sober and to stop others from getting behind the wheel while they're impaired. Sometimes it doesn't take that much, just a simple word, a simple request, a suggestion that we take a Uber tonight or that we don't drive and get a designated driver. All simple things that we've seen on television shows and we've shared with others from time to time, and we just need to keep reinforcing how important that is to our kids, our friends, our family, loved ones, and others. So far this year in Boynton Beach, I'm sad to report we've had 7 fatal crashes involving alcohol and drugs. And we've fortunately have made over 60 arrests since January for DUI. It's too many for the wrong reason. But I have to think that lives were saved with those arrests, stopping those folks before it got too far, before there was a crash involved. We remain committed in Boynton Beach, the police department, to taking every measure we can to increase traffic enforcement, particularly with impaired driving. To that end, we target and we search and we scour everywhere we can for grant dollars to help us enhance what we do on a everyday basis. To that end, we've been very successful with the Florida Department of Transportation. This year, I'm excited to announce that we've been able to secure and have been awarded a speed and aggressive driving grant for $50,000. We've also been awarded from FDOT an occupant protection and child passenger safety grant for $35,000. We've received a motorcycle safety enforcement grant for $40,000. And in addition to those, we were also awarded a grant to fund overtime and enhanced traffic enforcement for impaired driving for $41,000 this year. It's a total of over $166,000 to help fund above and beyond traffic enforcement in the city of Boynton Beach, and we're very excited to be able to do that. The police department remains committed to enforcing the state's laws for impaired driving, educating the community about our very real dangers of driving under the influence. And I have to say that it's a full-out team effort. It's not just police officers who are dedicated to that role, that mission. It'd be robbery if I didn't recognize our outstanding public information officer, Stephanie Goldfuss. And you've probably seen, if you follow us on Twitter, Facebook, or our website, a lot of her work. She spends a great deal of time staying on top of messaging and putting out reminders of safety, especially during the holidays when the students begin to go back to school. And we want to ensure that everyone slows down in the school zones because they've lost that habit over the summer. She's the point of the spear with that information campaign that we try to share and remind folks to be on point, to look out for one another in our community. And again, it's a team effort from all hands on deck at the Boynton Beach Police Department. So with that said, I'll end there and just say thank you to reassure you that we are committed 100% to this aim to reducing impaired driving in the city of Boynton Beach. We appreciate the partnership, and we look forward to partnering with all the organizations that were here tonight to make this happen again next year. Thank you.
Now, in an effort to combat driving under the influence of drugs, Florida State Legislature will review House Bill 271 and Senate Bill 436. They both broaden the definition of impairing substance to include any substance taken into the human body that can impair or diminish some material in respect to a person's normal faculties. Now, those normal faculties would include, but are not limited to, the ability to see, hear, walk, talk, judge distances, drive an automobile, make judgments, act in emergencies, and in general, normally perform what many mental and physical acts of daily life. Now, according to Florida Department of Transportation's 2020 statistics, in the height of the pandemic with stay-at-home orders in place, there were 949 crashes caused by an impaired driver. Now, of those crashes, 88 were serious injuries, and 28 of those crashes ended in fatalities. Once the investigation of the crash concludes, in most instances, the case is turned over to the state attorney's office for review and then, of course, possible prosecution. Assistant State Attorney Francine Edwards' dedication to the traffic homicide unit stemmed from an early age. While on a school field trip, she had the opportunity to sit in on a traffic homicide case where a mother and her 2 children, as pedestrians, were killed by a drunk driver. This experience was responsible for her wanting to become a prosecutor. Please help me welcome to the stage Assistant State Attorney Francine Edwards.
Good evening, everyone. So I know so far a lot of the speeches have been talking about kind of the somber experience of what it's like to be someone who's lost someone to an impaired driver. And a part of that reason, and I'll echo some of what some of the other speakers have said, is because driving under the influence is such a preventable crime. Oftentimes, it literally is the difference between thinking about someone else when you get behind the wheel of a vehicle. Obviously, there's so many technological advances that allow for us to not get behind the wheel of a vehicle if we've had any kind of impairing substances. And that's the reason it's so heartbreaking, apart from the fact that someone's loved one is now gone. Being a prosecutor in Palm Beach County is a difficult task often because we stand between law enforcement, the victims' families, the court system, where our victims, next of kins, are now looking for justice in the courtrooms. It can be a difficult place to find that just because a lot of people think that it's perfectly acceptable to get behind the wheel of a vehicle after having a few drinks. And this is what the vigil and our experiences can help to change. It makes a difference if you tell someone else to stop, to not get behind the wheel of a vehicle. And I say that because when you're in a courtroom, after somebody has either been found guilty or pled guilty to a driving under the influence crime where somebody was either injured or died, the people that are in that courtroom that are all crying isn't just the family members of the person who is now deceased. It is every single person, often children of the person who committed the crime, the courtroom staff, the clerks, even myself. I found the tears falling because it is the most heartbreaking experience to watch anybody go through that kind of pain. So tonight, I ask you all, as you remember the people that you have loved individually, remember that the people on the other side, the defendants also, are just like us. They're people who should have thought about other people before they got behind the wheel of the vehicle. And it's something that's always preventable. And like the chief of police for Boynton Beach said, it's a team effort. All of us can make a difference. When I started jury selection process in the courtroom, that's a process where we pick jurors. And one of the questions I always ask is, how many people here have been affected by driving under the influence crimes? I kid you not, it's almost always every single person in that room. And that's really the saddest part of it all, because we each know someone who could have done something different. So I challenge you all to do something different. Thank you.
And of course, when we talk about prevention of impaired driving, we're always going to talk about education. It starts there. In 2020, FDOT reported 484 alcohol-related crashes where the violators between the ages of 15 and 19. We can do better. This is 100%, as you just heard, an avoidable crime. As the students from Boynton Beach High School Chorus are here with us to share their amazing musical selections this evening, they in turn are also ambassadors of hope as they relay the important facts of the devastation caused by impaired driving with their peers. With a united effort, they have the opportunity to stand strong with their peers against impaired driving. Under the direction of Dr. Arnika Jackson, I would like to welcome to the stage the Boynton Beach High School Chorus to sing Say Something by Justin Timberlake.
So wish upon a star and wake up when the clouds are far behind me. Where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops, that's where you'll find me. Somewhere over the rainbow, blue words fly.
That was so beautiful. Thank you. Next to share his story is Alfred Lasorte Jr., a victim and a survivor of a DUI crash in August of 2017 that seriously injured him and took the life of his wife. Please welcome Alfred Lasorte Jr.
Hi everyone, I'm Al Lasorte. I'm here with my daughter Allie, who's in the audience. It's heartbreaking to see all these lights. Know that each one represents a loved one, a tragedy within a family. It's so hard to recover from. You know, when I was a prosecutor almost 40 years ago, I was prosecuting DUI manslaughter cases. I never thought that the tragedy that affected the victims I was involved with would ever find its way to my family, but it did. 2017, my wife and I were driving home on a beautiful, warm Sunday afternoon from Whole Foods, and a fellow driving a car who was under the influence of a bunch of prescription medications, Xanax, Ativan, and marijuana, had fallen asleep at the wheel. Drove on the wrong side of the road for almost a mile, hit another car, caromed off of that, and hit our car and instantly killed my wife, Debbie. We were married 32 years. We were on the phone with my daughter, Allie, at the time of the accident. Allie and Deb were as close as a mother and daughter I've ever met. It was hard. I was in a wheelchair for a while with a broken pelvis, a bunch of broken bones. But I healed up and I'm fine. But the toll that it takes on the family, on my daughter never having a mother to pick out a wedding dress with, it's really hard to fathom. And I know every one of these lights here represents another story just as tragic. But you know, the tragedy doesn't end there. The fellow who hit us, he had a little daughter, an infant. He's in jail now. Danielle, the prosecutor who's here tonight, I want to publicly thank for her fine work as a prosecutor and getting a conviction on him. The fellow's in jail for 5 years. He won't see his daughter again until she's in school. He's going to miss all that, and his girlfriend who he lived with. So the tragedy and the ripple effects of what happens when someone thoughtlessly drives under the influence, they ripple out and they affect so many families. But what I'm really here to tell you about is this. For every one of you folks out here who's holding a candle, who's lost someone, if it's more recent vintage than what happened to us, you may be at the point where you're wondering, you know, how can I get past this? How can I live through this? I miss them so much. Well, your loved ones would have wanted you to go on. You know, Deb was that way. She was the most beautiful, passionate, giving person. But she wouldn't have wanted my life, or Allie's life, or our son Andrew's life to end when hers did. She would have wanted us to go on. So my message to all of you holding candles is that there is life after this tragedy, this unspeakable tragedy. But you can do this, and your loved one would have wanted you to go on. And I hope that you can. In our family, we've been, you know, it hasn't been easy. We think about Debbie every day. Every day. I wake up in the middle of the night sometimes, and I see her face. But I go on, and it's okay. You know, it's okay now. I have Allie, I have Andrew. It's going to be all right for me, and it will be for you too as well. You just got to hang in there. Thank you.
In the early morning of June 1st, 2017, AMR ambulance drivers Paul Basaw and Lahira Garcia were killed by a drunk driver. Paul Basaw's wife, Dawn Witherspoon, has made it her mission now to speak out against drunk driving and share her story of how the death of her husband has impacted her family. Please welcome Dawn to the stage.
Good evening, everyone. Can we please take a moment to applaud all of the fire, police, and EMS that are here tonight? These brave women and men leave their home every shift to be there for others. They miss Christmas, Thanksgiving, their son's Little League playoffs, their daughter's dance recital, all to be there for you and I. They run into danger while others are trying to get as far away as possible. They do the unthinkable. They are remarkable. They are true heroes. That will tell you it's no big deal, but it is a big deal, and I am proud to be a part of their extended family. My husband, Paul Bisa, was an 18-year veteran paramedic. He was an instructor, a field training officer, a critical care medic, and a flight medic. He was the friendliest, goofiest, most kind-hearted person I have ever known. He only wanted to save lives and make other lives better. He would walk out our door every single morning happy to be going to do what he loved, and he would get into his car at the end of the shift happy to be able to come home to his family. On June 1st, 2017, my husband, the father of our beautiful daughter Allison, was not able to come home. Around 2 in the morning, Paul and his partner transported a patient to the hospital. Then they headed back to their station. At the same time they were headed back, a man that had been drinking since 9 o'clock that morning made the decision to finally go drive home, putting him directly in the path of the ambulance. He turned directly in front of the ambulance as if it wasn't even there. Both Paul and his partner lost his lives in the ambulance that morning. The overly intoxicated driver, he was just a little banged up. Right around 3 a.m. the morning of June 1st, 2017, I became a survivor. I didn't see it as becoming a survivor at first. I went through so many thoughts and so many emotions. I wasn't even sure who I was anymore. I went from PTA president, stay-at-home mom, wife of an amazing husband, to a single mom, not sure what I was going to do with my life, because nothing seemed important anymore. How was I going to take care of Allison? How was I going to wake up and live each day without my best friend? Who was I going to ask for medical advice? Who was going to make tacos on Taco Tuesday night? There were so many questions and so much pain, and I just lived there in sort of a trauma purgatory. I lived there in all of the emotion and all of the wreckage for days, weeks, months. They were all a blur, and before I knew it, the anniversary of Paul Death's was just a few months away. I dreaded it. I didn't want to be sad anymore, so I cheated the sadness and I combated the pain and decided that I was just going to fake it until I could be happy again. I was going to do what Paul did every single day. On the anniversary of his death, I encouraged others to do and complete random acts of kindness in Paul's honor. I was going to wake up and make other people's lives better, and I was going to make others happy. And if I succeeded at that, then I could maybe, in some way, make myself just a little happier. And it worked. People from all over decided to join and do random acts of kindness for Paul. They checked in online. There was a guy in California that stopped to bring highway workers water. A mom in Connecticut took her son's baseball team to ice cream. People were paying for others in line. Lots of fire, EMS, and police across the country ate very well that day from meals that were provided in honor of Paul. And even over in Bahrain, a U.S. service member bought shoes for a family of 7, all because of Paul. I saw how happy it made them, how happy Allison was. And in that moment in time, I knew that maybe not that day, but one day soon, I would be able to say I was happy too. Throughout the next year, I found what I lost Paul. I found my passion and a purpose, and I didn't even know it was missing until then. Of course, as a mother, your children are more than enough to get you out of bed, but I was lacking passion, and without passion and purpose, I did not feel completely alive. My purpose was, and still is, to help people like Paul did. However, without seeing any blood and guts, of course. Paul's death did not only affect my family, but his EMS family as well. And that is how the For Paul Foundation was born, to honor, support, and appreciate first responders, EMS, and their families, with a special focus on line of duty death families. I know each of you here are at different stages of this journey, some very new, some have been living without their loved ones for decades. I encourage you, if you have not already done so, go and find your passion again. Look and find that spark that will lift you up and make you jump out of bed in the morning. It could be something as simple as finding a new hobby, spending more time with your grandkids, or finding a way to honor your loved one. One of my favorite quotes is, "We have lost our loved ones to 100% preventable causes of death, but we cannot allow ourselves to lose ourselves. We must embrace pain and burn it as a fuel for our journey." Thank you so much for letting me be here with you this evening. I wish you comfort and joy this holiday season. Thank you.
And we'd like to say thank you to Alfred and Dawn for taking the time to share that important message about the devastating impact of impaired driving. At this time, I'd like to ask that we begin to light the candles. I'd like to invite Boynton Beach DUI Enforcement Officer Dennis Castro to share the poem, Light a Candle. Please see the insert in your programs right now. Following the reading, the poem will be another selection from the Boynton Beach High School Chorus.
Good evening. Light a candle. Now we'll light a candle for you to shadow all the darkness and bless the times we knew. Like a beacon in the night, the flame will burn bright and guide us on our way. All today I light a candle for you. The seasons come and go, and I'm worried from the change. I keep on moving, you know it's not the same. And when I'm walking all alone, do you hear me call your name? Do you hear me sing the song we used to sing? You feel the life of wonders, touch me with surprise. I always saw you that something special deep within your eyes. And through the good times and bad, we carry on with pride. I hold on to the love and life we knew. Thank you.
Take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home. Far across the river, can you hear freedom calling? Calling me to answer. Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones. Mayor. Mayor. Mayor.
Calling me to answer, keep on keeping on.
know to prepare a place for you. I know to prepare a place for you.
Another beautiful song, thank you. And as we prepare to close out this inaugural DUI Victim Remembrance Memorial event, I'd like to thank and recognize the planning committee and the sponsors. Thank you to Christ Fellowship for providing the wonderful refreshments, the City of Boynton Beach and the Boynton Beach Police Department for hosting this memorial for us, Palm Beach County Board of County Commissioners and Mayor Robert Weinroth for sponsoring the proclamation and declaring December as Impaired Driving Prevention Awareness Month. I'd like to recognize the Impaired Driving Death Enhanced Assistance Task Force and all of its members here tonight. Lastly, I'd like to recognize Mothers Against Drunk Driving and Palm Beach County Victim Services and Certified Rape Crisis Center for partnering together and supporting this inaugural DUI Victim Remembrance Memorial. Closing remarks? Go ahead. Yeah, let's get a round of applause for everybody tonight. Closing remarks will be by Boynton Beach Traffic Unit Sergeant Philip Hawkins and a closing prayer by Boynton Beach Police Chaplain Reverend Rick Riccardi.
Thank you for coming tonight. Really appreciate it. However, she just took half of my speech because I was going to thank everybody for coming tonight. So we'll get past that. What I'd like to do is take a few moments, not a long time, and kind of walk you through a fatality scene involving impaired driving. First, you have the responders, the first responders, the police, the fire. Usually when we get there, it's a pretty devastating scene. And no matter what, how big the scene is or how small the scene is, there's always carnage. And that is devastating. We begin our investigation. We have to go through the cars. We have to remove bodies. We have to call the medical examiner out. It's a long process. It takes a lot of time. It's very frustrating at times. You do have some wins here and there, but it's a long, long evening most of the time. The officers have to come out in the middle of the night mostly, or early in the morning, to find this and go through the wreckage. Second is the criminal part of it. We have to put this together, kind of figure it out. And as we do, we have to shift the blame. Probably the driver that's still alive that has killed 1 or 2, 3, 4 people. That's the hard part. But what gets even harder is the third part. More often than not, we have to go give a notification. Husband, wife, parents, family members, children. Sometimes it's cold, but you have to tell them. You have to sit there and you have to figure out what you have to say to these people. It's devastating. Not only are they incurring trauma, but so are the officers that have to go tell them this devastating story. And then we have the victim advocates step in, and they assist also. And they become scarred just as much as everyone else in this process. So, with that, we're here tonight. I want to thank everybody for coming. What tonight does is it allows us to heal, remember, and educate. So, I want to thank all of you for coming tonight. Thank you very much. God bless us, and God bless the men and women that serve us. Thank you very much.
Almighty God, grant that our vigil this evening shines the light of truth, that drunk driving remains the #1 cause of death on the nations of our highways. We pray, Lord, for your protection over everyone traveling on our roadways. Provide them with your protection, with your care from every danger. We pray that your loving presence will be felt in the hearts of the many families and friends who suffer the tragic effects of someone who is driving under the influence. May your love pour forth through the prayers and the presence of all who are gathered at this vigil this evening. Heal and bring comfort to those who are grieving the loss of dear ones. Bind together our communities in the grace of faith. Lord, we know that our battle against drunk drivers is a forever battle. Give us the strength to endure in our fight to remove these dangerous people from the road. Protect our law enforcement community and our medical professionals who respond to the scenes of these accidents. Lastly, Lord, spare us the heartbreak of a dreaded call, which the speaker speaks these heartbreaking words. There's been a terrible accident. Amen.
Thank you, everyone. That concludes the service tonight.